That's
It's a
like
good thing it wasn't
TikTok
bologna,
thing.
though. Bologna, if you put that on the paint, it'll peel it off.
Yeah.
So.
It will?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. How would you know that?
How do you not know that?
Why do you know that?
I mean, that's the thing
Look
that
at you.
I mean, high schoolers did that to each other. Right?
Yeah,
Really?
like,
We never did.
disrespect everything. I was about to say,
That's the lowest form
I
of
had
respect.
terrible Cavaliers. You just slap some bologna on there. Fuck it. All right, well, now you got a spot on your car.
just polka dots.
I don't know. Me and Nathan went to high school in different years than they did, I guess. So we just knew you terrorized the car.
Definitely. I was more in like 21 Jump Street kind of high school. You know, where they say like
Where
fuck the
adults were
environment
in
or
there
something.
all the
It's
time.
like we love the environment. Do you remember that?
No.
All right.
You could pick it again. I'd rewatch it though. I really enjoyed it.
I mean, I've never seen it.
Oh really?
Oh,
Oh,
You
21 Jump Street's really
you
good.
keep teasing that we're gonna watch it. It's basically the next Nightcrawler situation.
I gotta hope it
yeah.
can be.
So I could pick
just
21 Jump Street and watch actually a good movie about high school.
Sure, and then I'll pick 22 afterwards, just because the sequel is actually really fun. So
Well, I'd watch any high school movie before this one, except Brick.
I think you're showing your hand, Price. I think you're talking about your score in advance.
Do you? I am, but we haven't even started like actually talking.
We haven't actually
Yeah,
started
yeah,
talking
Yeah,
today. That's
it's just
right.
been recording the whole time.
I mean, what else is new?
Wasting battery. Is
We'll
the
be
mic
all right.
on?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you
Okay,
sure?
Yep.
All right, anyway. Welcome to the After Movie Podcast. I'm your host today, Dylan, with Bryce, Nathan, and Nathan in no particular order of hierarchy. We are now at a live studio audience now on this episode.
It's true.
And
Off,
that's-
off camera.
I want to shout out to Annabeth, who's outside trying to hold too many fellows.
Yeah.
I just wanted that on camera. Anyway, guys, we're talking about a little high school flick.
Yeah, we are. You're looking at me like this is your movie.
Oh yeah, I don't know how to look at myself though. Like, hey Dylan, how do you set yourself up for that price? All right, yeah, today we're talking about Easy A. It's Emma Stone's one movie that you remember thinking that was a really fun teen comedy, and then you rewatch it, and then you're like, oh no. That's my very
Me
quick
too?
synopsis on it. That's
Okay.
it. I'm not gonna sit there and give you a whole long explanation on it because it tear apart the whole movie.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, I mean that.
Yeah.
That's
I
exactly
won't-
what we're here to do, is to take it piece by piece
I won't lie.
and tear it apart.
I kind of want to because I went into this movie. Remember? Okay, so
Yeah, give
Hold
us
on,
a-
like
for-
I want
for
to know
separate-
why you picked.
okay, so here's my thing.
Yeah.
Beforehand, you two had not seen it beforehand,
Correct.
right? This is the first time you've seen it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't
and
know that.
All right, and then me and Mason had seen it before. To nobody's surprise, me and Mason watched a teen drama ahead of time.
Wow, big surprise.
But this wasn't even teen drama. This is very much advertised as teen comedy. Like if you watch
Yeah.
any trailer, it is a very copy-paste
yeah.
2010 teen comedy,
It-
right?
It was flowing. It was in Superbad's shadow.
Right, exactly. So it's running off the same loop. And I remember for my first watch, I guess whenever it came out, like 11 years ago or something now.
Yep.
So I remember watching it and I was just like, oh yeah, that was fun. That was quirky. I remember thinking the parents were like kind of like eccentric, but you know, I dig it. Like that was a fun little thing. And I was just like, there's the part with the card and the Pocket Little Sunshine. And I was like, that's relatable.
That's the part I knew from this movie.
Right, like,
Pocket
that's the
Full of
part that was
Sunshine
in the
the
trailer.
only part I knew.
Exactly. And for me, like, I'm like, all right, I get it. That happened with me and Ariana Grande last year. So I'm
Yes,
like,
it did.
incredibly relatable, right? So I remember all of like this little chirpy parts, but then I went back and rewatched it recently with my wife, and I remember sitting there thinking, like, oh man, this is fun, and then about halfway into the movie, they start talking about the actual sex scandals going on, and how Phoebe from Friends is the school counselor, right?
Lisa Kudrow.
Lisa Kudrow, right?
Mhm.
And like she's a school counselor sleeping with a student and stuff like that.
Who's like
which is like
22.
the bare.
Or wait,
he's
no,
he's
he was
3 months
fixing to be
away from
21.
21.
That was
yeah.
it.
He's
Yeah.
3 months away from being 21. So, which is already like on the cusp of bad, but then they push that to the next level. We'll come back to that. So,
But wait, we're taking this to out of context. We need somebody
right.
to explain what this
So
movie
this
is.
is
what it's
exactly
about.
my point. Let's go back to the beginning, right? This
All
movie, as advertised, and for the first half, is a pretty cut and paste, little bit like edgy on their like sexual side, so to speak. A play on the Scarlet Letter, right? So it's a little bit of a mix of modern day drama with the Scarlet Letter, that old classic book you probably read in English.
And forgot about.
Yes. So it's a play on that one with a nice little like fun teen comedy, and they're being a little bit extra. I remember thinking like, is this PG-13 or R? And I had to check it. It was PG-13. So anyway, it's this concept where Emma Stone like, loses her virginity, quote unquote, or at least that's the gossip that goes around, and she becomes the talk of the school. Now, I can already say like me now, I like. Oh, this is a bad high school. This is the terribly tropey bad movie high school, right?
Yeah.
If she's a random chick and she loses her virginity, nobody gives a shit. Like,
No.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk about that. But
Yeah.
please continue with the synopsis.
But I want to hit the part that really made me bring this movie back
synopsis.
up.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
So as this goes on, there are boys coming up, and maybe girls. I don't know. That's implied. Anybody in this high school is coming up, and like nerdy dudes are like, "Hey, let me pay you to say that I slept with you," and people are also just going on board. And she just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna embrace the notorious rumor of this and just accepting this." And she's just like, like owning her sexuality in her own way and just getting ahead of the narrative, which honestly is kind of a little bit on brand for like current day narrative, just no sex shaming and stuff like that. But then it keeps kind of getting worse, and you just see where the envelope keeps getting pushed with this movie. There's one part where a guy was like, "Oh, I thought you were actually supposed to sleep with me," and he has like another stupid gift card or something like that.
Yeah, to Home
the
Depot.
dinner.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
the
like
home-
a $200.
No, he was
Home
paying
Depot.
for sex at that point.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was like paying for sex, and then like it gets a little borderline rapey at that part. And I remember thinking,
Yeah.
there I'm like,
She said no, and he was like,
yeah, he's
Home
like,
Depot.
I paid for it at Home Depot, right? And I was just like, oh, that's in poor taste. I'm like, why did I not remember this part? And then it keeps going, and that's the part that really drew my attention, right? So at this point, the tone is drastically shifted into what is a pretty dark comedy at this point. So there's, on the later end, there's a whole bunch of other things that we'll talk about on that, but for just to keep up into the plot's sake. So there's a like older dude who's just like this dumb handsome guy in high school that apparently is also sleeping with a school counselor who's
The school
dating a
counselor
teacher or
who's
married to a teacher.
married to the teacher that Emma Stone really likes.
Right, so he's the like
And not like
Not like
Oh, I
romantic,
meant like
like-
just admires.
yeah, he's this your favorite teacher at school, that too smart, too funny one that cuts up with you, but you're like smart, so they're like you jump.
Yeah, draw me a beat, Ryan. I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna do some Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Very
God,
unrealistic,
I
right?
hate it.
Movie high school to peak on that stuff, right? So there's this underlying plot where like where Lisa Kudrow, the school counselor, sleeps with like this one student, and then that's bad. So then all of Emma Stone
he catches
he
an
gets
STD.
chlamydia.
Yeah, chlamydia. That's what
and
it
passes
was.
that around. But
He
like,
doesn't pass it around though.
oh well, yeah, that's right.
He gets
Here's
it.
you some chlamydia.
Yeah.
Here's you some. Here's you
He-
some.
You get
He
chlamydia.
gets chlamydia
You
from
get
the
chlamydia.
the
guidance
Oprah of
counselor of the
chlamydia.
school,
Right.
and then his immediate response to that, whenever it's basically he's caught with his
Mhm.
mom realizing what's
oh,
happening,
I
he's
slept
like,
with all.
oh,
of,
it
yeah.
was yeah, it was Olive.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
So what's worse is that Lisa Kudrow's character definitely manipulates all of to sit there and take the fall on that. Like that whole scene is like awful. Well, she's terrible. Like she sits there and says, "Well, I guess I'll lose my job, I'll lose my marriage, all of this," and she's like obviously manipulating Emma Stone,
Oh,
who's
yeah.
just been rocking anyway. So then she does, and then like maybe 20, not even 20 minutes later in the film, it feels like Emma Stone's character is like, "Yeah, this is fucked up. I'm not doing this anymore," and then goes back on her like revenge tour to say, "Hey, you need to come out and own this shit." And then she gets back to like the school counselor, and then the school counselor's like, "Fuck you. Nobody's gonna believe
Yeah.
you anyway." She was like, "Who are they gonna believe? Who are they gonna believe?" And Lisa Kudrow was like menacing in this. Like I was like, "Holy shit,
Well,
she's a villain."
so the thing that this brings up too is that this whole movie, it has like a wrapper over the top of it, which
Mhm.
is that she is vlogging the entirety of
Right.
this story and how the whole
Narrating.
thing is
I've
going.
never seen that concept. Very novel
Oh, I
concept.
know, right?
Wow.
It's kind of
Oh.
a funny story. Was the last movie that we reviewed. That
Man,
did that.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I think Quentin Tarantino could take a page out of this.
I know. Just the
Narrative
narrative
storytelling.
structure is just so unique and
Yeah.
original to this genre.
Listen.
Yeah, the Hateful Eight should have been framed through like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Hateful Eight should just not have been a movie and stayed a.
Okay, can we be
screenplay.
done with the synopsis now? This has been the
This-
longest synopsis
this is-
for the
yeah.
worst movie.
This is a comedy. That's all you need to know about.
Thank
this
you,
movie.
please, Mason.
But it's not, and that's the point. And we don't have to talk about synopsis anymore. We can just
I
talk
mean,
about like
thank
what we
God.
fucking dislike about it, right? But the moral of this is that you ask me why did I pick this movie, and I asked.
About 23
Yeah, we
minutes.
did.
Shut up.
Yes, sir.
Shut up. All right.
Ever since we started talking about GameStop, Dale's just been on the roll. It's just like
Shut
going,
up.
going,
All right.
going.
All right. So if you want to know why I picked this movie, is because I remember thinking this was a really endearing little teen drama for its time, and I guess I really didn't pay that much attention because after I rewatched it, I was just like, this is incredibly dark and jarring, and I'm like, how did I forget half of this movie? And I was like, this is worth talking about. If nothing else, I'm intrigued to say like this is one of these weird teen dramas that's a wolf in sheep's clothing and just
Oh
suddenly
yeah,
springs
because
this.
it has a pretty interesting message too
Yeah.
about like the dangers of that kind
Lying.
of lying
Mhm.
and where it can put you into a real spot where you're suddenly like it's not fake anymore.
Right.
Things are real and you could get hurt.
Alright, so finally talking about the movie.
Yeah. So I want to start out with the cast of this movie. I feel like they
Go
went to
for it.
Kmart and got the B-list cast. Okay, they have Amanda Bynes, which is known for about 3 movies
I think
in the early
Even
2000s.
at 2010 is like
I think
jarringly
she was
timed.
on her way out. at
Oh,
that
she
point.
was.
She was at
She
least 2
was
steps out when they
out.
grabbed her on the way.
She was out. They
Yeah.
they pulled her back in. They also had Cam Giganti, whatever. He was in like
Who's
the
that?
roommate. He was the guy that with chlamydia.
Oh yeah.
He was in like
Mm.
2 other kind of scary movies.
Duh.
I think he was in True Blood at that time or something
Yeah.
like
The
that.
angel.
Allie, Michaela girl.
I was gonna say the angel boyfriend guy who's amazing
Yeah,
at
that's the
everything.
guy, I think.
He's
Him,
he's the guy
Bagley.
from You, isn't
Yes,
he?
Yes.
he's a star.
Okay, I thought so.
All of these actors, besides Emma Stone, were so far off the radar in 2010 that I don't think that they worked in this movie. That to say, Emma Stone way outplayed her part. She was easily the best thing, and
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that she didn't deserve to be in a movie like this,
She's-
with this type of concept and this type of strange Scarlet Letter.
I mean, she wasn't
type
really
premise.
big at the time.
Yeah,
too big,
she
right?
was coming.
She
into
was trending upwards,
Crazy
right?
Stupid
Yeah.
Love. She was in Superbad, which Superbad I think was 2007. So you kind of, she had charm in Superbad,
Right.
right? Like
Mhm.
everyone kind of liked Jules was her name in Superbad.
Mhm, mhm.
Everyone loved Jules. So then I feel like they plucked her for this part, and the poor thing. I'm glad that she had a very, very good career after this movie, because it was
Right.
just, this is another, like you said earlier, a teen comedy that, like Year One. Oh gosh,
Year
you can-
One, I forgot about that movie. Jack Black and
pile all
Michael
of
Cera?
them- yeah, Jack Black was in it.
Yeah.
You pile
Man,
all
All
of
like the
those
baseline teen
movies,
dramas of that time period.
and the
right.
pile is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the late 2010s.
There's definitely like just a
2000s.
hole where they just gravitated towards, and that's the same thing as like animated movies. They were all like at this level, and this one
Mhm.
tried to do something different, and then got way worse because of it. But
Yeah.
I guess I've just not seen too many movies like that to have been
Give it time.
saturated.
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Just a little more time.
next
and
week,
I'll-
perks
I'll-
of being a wallflower coming
Oh,
up.
That's Steve Carell, isn't it?
No.
No.
No. Okay.
Emma Watson
I'm
and
thinking of a different one.
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. Yeah.
But talking about this movie, one of the things that actually to me was jarring and seemed odd to the characters of this story, to Emma Stone's character specifically, was that sudden moment of her being like, okay, so I'm seen as a
A
slut.
slut. Yeah.
I'm going to now just put the scarlet letter on all of these really slutty outfits
Mhm.
and be like, that whole little scene of her just stabbing herself in the fingers constantly while she was trying to put
Oh, like
80s
cutting
on
up
them
corsets
ripping
and
everything
making
apart.
right.
Like
Didn't fit.
that was very jarring to me.
Right.
Like that seemed like a lot, and that was flying well off what any reasonable thing, like that's so far out of normal that immediately that it takes us to where it's now a movie that's very much a caricature, and it's not like
It's almost
it's not trying to be grounded at all anymore at that
Right.
point.
It's almost like your pathology moment where like this part happens in the
He did it
movie.
again, didn't
I
he?
don't
did.
I
He did
don't
again.
believe it. I'm
He did.
checking out. Like because that was like my
No,
part
but
for
he's
me.
right though. I mean, that
Exactly,
moment does
yeah,
translate.
that's
You're,
what
you
I'm
are right
saying.
about that.
It may not
I
be to
will-
that extent.
It
is what I'm
didn't
saying.
get me like that though, because this was a comedy in a lot of ways. So
Mhm.
like yes, it goes completely off the rails and breaks the like grounded believableness that it could have started in, and that was jarring. But at the same time, it's like it didn't like make it lose its entertainment factor.
You had plenty of other chances
It just
to get
stood
picked back
out.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was at like the very beginning of the movie where she like Emma Stone's like narrating over it
Mhm.
and she's like nobody ever looks at me. Like if I was like a 15-story building, no one would look at me.
And
like
it's Emma
she is
Stone.
by far like the most
Like-
beautiful like girl in that school. Besides, I would think like Amanda Bynes' side character, the like Indian chick or whatever.
Oh yeah.
What her name is? I was like,
No,
Like-
remember.
you're gorgeous. Like I can't believe the like foundation of this movie.
Right.
If the whole basis of it is
Well,
like
she's
she
going to
doesn't look at
supermodel
it.
school, so
Yeah.
it's hard to stand out in supermodel school. Everybody's actually adults in high school somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Oh yeah.
but she's still very much an adult in high school, even by this role. It'd be like, honestly, that It's funny.
That's
like,
the other thing that was really.
They're all too
jarring.
old.
They're
Yeah.
all definitely.
Especially
too
the
old.
guy, like the handsome boyfriend guy. He
He's-
looks like he's like in
he's
his
20,
20s.
like probably
Yeah.
27 or 28.
And
when
he's
this is
built
actually
like a
filmed.
20-something-year-old guy because his shirt is off the entire movie.
Right. I
Pretty
think
much.
it's like
Yeah.
I think it actually could have been really. This felt like a movie that wasn't inside of its own joke, though, right? Like, and I think that's kind of the problem. So there's the two issues I have with it, even calling it a comedy, is that they only use the comedy elements to just explain away the extra ridiculous moments, right? Whenever she's sitting there cutting the A and doing all that stuff, they're like, this is a pretty ridiculous thing. But they have the underlying tone of comedy because comedy is supposed to be exaggerated, so that's like their excuse, right?
Mm.
And in the same way, like Emma Stone's like, yeah, I don't stand out in the school. I'm like, you're Emma Stone. What? Like, and that's funny on like beating on it, but in the moment you're just like, no, they actually tried to play this angle. Like they actually try to play as Emma Stone is like a very forgettable person.
For like maybe 5 minutes.
Right.
She's thrust into the limelight within the first 5 minutes of this movie.
Exactly.
After that intro of nobody ever notices me, except everybody completely immediately notices you
Right.
the moment there's anything to
Yeah.
be known.
Exactly. So I'm like, no, you've been hiding, and at this point you finally came out, but everybody been looking already, and that's the thing that's just like, what?
Well, also, I mean, this high school consists of like what, 15 people?
Yeah, maybe
20.
Maybe 20. Listen, the
They
extra
were all
budget was
outside the
low.
door.
Yeah.
They were all outside the door. That first little hooray that they did.
Yeah.
With one of the main groups being, and I want to delve into this so much, is the stupid Christian group.
Oh,
yeah.
Everyone around that.
Price was
So-
personally attacked by
so
this
the
video.
The first thing like I
I'm
hated
trying to
about
think
it.
of who else's school ever had even remotely close to a Christian.
No.
group.
Oh,
Not
there
small
was
county
no. Yeah,
Yeah.
like in the high schools I was in, there was
Mhm.
definitely the like little Christian circle that would go out and pray around the flag every morning and stuff.
Small
We
town
definitely
Kentucky
did not
high
have
school
that.
had that. I can tell you,
I
they're
mean, no,
not.
I'm talking like
Oh, I mean,
in the
even
city
locally, this
too.
one too.
Yeah.
We
Uh,
definitely did not. But anyway, I'm going back to that. So like the first thing like I hated was the whole classroom scene that had the Indian Christian girl that I was talking about earlier. Where like first of all the teacher's like drop a fat beat, Ryan, and he's like, and then he starts out like I'm the relatable teacher. Yeah, this is how I'm trying to teach you. And then I hated that. And then the girl raises her hand and is like, yeah, Emma Stone is a huge slut, and we all hate her for it. And then Emma Stone calls her a twat, and that's why she gets in trouble and everything for it. I'm like, why is the girl who brought up the fact that like Emma Stone had sex in the middle of class not in trouble at all?
Mm-hmm.
That blows my mind. It is never brought up again, and I thought that was
Also,
Awful.
the principal of that school and his just overly severe response to that
Right.
it was like he was going to
absolutely-
expel her for
yeah.
calling her a twat.
Right.
Well, he just started going into like fundamentally like what he's after with the school just to get people through and out. It's like all she said was twat. Why are you going into all this?
Giving it your, the entire
But like, here's my
world plan.
thesis on why
Yeah.
I am a principal of this school and why you're
I
going to
need
stay
you
in
to
line.
know this. Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like with every other character that's portrayed in this, they have as much depth as like this rug does. Like none of
Oh,
them,
yeah,
none of them have anything to them.
yeah.
None of them. The boyfriend doesn't have any. Emma Stone is definitely the most fleshed out of any of them. Her parents, who are main characters in this movie, are super terrible. Like they're
They literally just
just
wrote like,
caricatures.
be quirky.
Quirky and relatable and make people like you. The Christian group is the same
Stanley
way.
Tucci's charming though. I'll fight for that one though.
Oh, I love Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci's delightful.
Yeah,
I enjoy him regardless of this movie and all.
But
its
that doesn't
flaws,
matter.
though,
But like the parents they're portraying are just so like
I mean, yeah.
over the top awesome
Mhm.
that like I didn't buy any second of. Like when they were talking like to the little black kid that like they adopted, it's
Mhm.
like I'm adopted. It's like who told you? Oh, we're so funny. Like of course they've had that conversation
I
before.
won't lie, I did laugh at that.
Yeah.
No, I laughed at that
I-
first
I
part.
gave a
Right.
guilty.
Like, who told you?
I gave a guilty chuckle, and I was like, I should not be laughing.
Ah,
this
yeah,
is awful.
It's worth it
regretted
then.
it.
If they get the
I
guilty
thought
chuckles,
they were
that's-
funny pretty much every time they were on the screen.
Yeah.
But like again, that's just another one of those things where those characters are so beyond
Realistic.
real.
Yeah.
because I mean, there's not gonna be parents that aren't going to feel like there's a problem with their daughter going to school wearing a corset with a scarlet A.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's like, we're letting you be yourself, but yeah, it's a little bit much.
I like to imagine I'd be a pretty liberal parent, but I would probably be like, hold up, what?
Where like our whole boobs are out with
Yeah.
like our little outfits.
Also,
yeah.
where'd you even get all those corsets?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
because
in
she
the
had to get parts for
montage,
those
she
ones,
she
yeah.
did show up with
bags
bags and
with
bags
it.
of clothes.
Another
I think-
California family.
I think that this movie might be the most put it on in the background, and you're not gonna miss a whole lot of anything.
Yeah.
Movie that we've watched so far, or the least that we've reviewed.
All right.
I
I feel like you
think-
said a lot about mine. So
No, you said that about like Brothers and a few others, and I get that, but like this
can we talk about
movie-
Brothers some more?
This movie was so much just like I'm not gonna miss any real jokes. I'm not gonna miss any like of the foundation of this movie if I step over here for a little bit. Like this is a very simple comedy movie, and I didn't even take notes for it. You know what? You know what I did notice? Did you guys notice all of the Sony marketing?
Incredible amount of
What?
Sony marketing.
Sony
The
bio?
laptops, those phones.
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah,
it went past me, I guess.
Well, it was in your face, and in
I believe
2009, I bought a Sony Bio on Black Friday, and then I saw this movie, and I think that's why I like this movie so much, because I saw so many Sony
Did you
Bios.
also buy a Zune?
Yeah, before that, yeah.
Yeah, I
yeah,
thought
probably.
so.
Yeah, I bought the Zune a couple years prior, but this is just, like, my issue with this movie is that Dylan, before we started recording last week, he was throwing out names like Zodiac and Gone Girl, and he was
landed
throwing
on
out
this one.
he was throwing out names. What was the other ones?
It was those two.
There was like 3 more. Oh, Jojo Rabbit,
Yeah, Jojo
Rabbit.
Parasite,
I just want another reason to rewatch.
and then while we were recording, he said no. We're gonna watch. ECA.
I've done that before too with Birdemic, so
I know you
believe
did.
me.
Yeah, to be
I
fair,
understand.
I get Mason's expectations up to here because we know those movies are good.
Those are so good.
They're so good movies.
I would have watched Zodiac again. I really would have. I wouldn't have cared.
But what can I say? The fans love controversy in our chatting and
But we're
screaming
not
at each other.
we're
so.
not saying anything controversial. Like we're all agreeing
No.
with each other for once, which I thought I was fighting an uphill battle on this one, but turns out you all didn't enjoy it either.
No,
I mean,
Well,
it's not
I'm not
bad.
saying like
right. I'm like,
I
wait for the scores,
is all I'll
say,
That
right.
doesn't mean I didn't have a good time watching it.
It's just.
Or I'll be fair about a thing and then I'll still bomb it with a score.
That's
You've done
true.
that
We
to
never
me
know
many
that.
times.
I think that this is just such a simple type comedy, though. Like, it is combined in this huge pile of these movies that you've seen a million times and that Netflix picks up every 12 months.
But like it,
And then
you-
Hulu picks it up 4 months later, and
You-
then it just makes it cycles.
But you say that it's like a really simple movie, but this movie bites off a lot. Like it's really
Yeah.
trying to say a whole lot, and it doesn't do it with any tact whatsoever.
Well, okay, so like the gay friend or
Oh,
gay
yeah, let's discuss
acquaintance,
that,
right?
the
So,
gay
like,
friend.
Like, yeah, I can
The
see that
typical
being
gay
a
friend.
this movie is
topical
not
thing.
very PC on this.
It's not.
No.
This movie-
Would you say it's before its time? No. As a matter of fact, I think it's after its time.
Yeah.
This felt like it was a 2007 type concept, released in 2011 or 2010, whatever it was. But yeah, if you guys want to touch on that whole like the guy that didn't want to come out of the closet, that was basically out, but then just lied about it, and then
I mean, we can
got
pretty
through
much-
high school. Like that whole thing was just.
I feel like we
that-
just sum it up as it's pretty inappropriate. Like,
It was a weird choice because basically the concept is he was getting bullied because he was gay.
Yeah.
but if they let him say that he slept with a girl,
Then they were gonna start high fiving him and
right.
patting him on the back.
Uh-huh.
But then they even say that he runs away with like a big bulky black guy, and I'm like, that's not okay. either.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. It was like it couldn't just been like he ran off with the guy. It's like,
Right.
It has to be a big, bulky black guy.
Right.
Well, it's because they wanted
What?
to make a joke about
On
Tom
the-
Sawyer.
Yeah, the Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
She was like, send my regards to Mark.
And they were
Twain or
watching
something like
Huckleberry Finn on the TV
Right.
together.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was so weird.
It's right.
Movie.
So Mason, I mean, I want to disagree with the simple thing really quickly, and then we'll wrap into like the fat thins category.
Mhm.
I'm not
Because
done
I don't. Okay, fine. Maybe we won't wrap on it.
yet.
But I know for me, like that was my problem. Is that I remember thinking it was simple, and then thinking that there's so much more to this movie that was
Yeah.
actually going on. Like I think you're right. If you put it on in the background, which is like, guess what I did the first time, and you don't pay attention. You're like, teen comedy. Don't think twice.
Mhm.
But then when you start watching, you're like, wait a fucking minute. Did she just? No. Is she telling the teacher that? Also, what is the teacher even doing? And I'm like, the teacher definitely is killing somebody off screen. Like this for me is like this is low key a Stephen King movie where all the adults are low key terrible,
They're in
you
Maine.
know, and like the kids are all on the good loop on stuff. Think like It, right? Like in It, all the kids are like the only ones seeing the reality for what it is, and the people are all terrible
I've never
around.
watched it.
All right, wow.
No. Pick
Put it
that
on the
one.
list. Put it on
Pick
the
that
list.
one,
Right,
Dylan.
put it on that.
Don't gaslight us.
I
Pick
know.
it.
Well, Stephen King's trope is that adults are all terrible and evil, so it just kind of plays like that. Other than like I guess the teacher and then like the two parents, but Anyway, go ahead, Price. You have more to say.
Yeah, I was just also going to talk about this more on a technical level with some of the like director like decisions I thought were pretty awful.
Mhm.
With one of which being in the first like 30 minutes, they do that like when the rumor's spreading for the first time, it does that like weird camera shot where it's like slow motion but fast motion at the same time.
Yeah,
And it goes on for like 2 minutes. I was like, that's kind of neat. Like I understand it kind of shows rumor spreading, and then like 20 minutes later, it does the exact same thing
yeah.
again. I was like, you already
Around the
played your
pool.
hand. Like,
If you liked it so much
Don't-
the first time, Price, why didn't you like it the second
I
time?
don't need it twice within like 30 minutes of each other. It's just like the director's like, oh, I had a good idea. Brain blast. Let's just keep doing it
Mhm.
over and over and over. And the other one was like, with any movie that's like this, like you know there's going to be a low point in the movie. And almost always it's at the 2/3 mark of the movie.
Yep.
This is the first time I've ever watched a movie where it was at the literal 2/3 moment was right when Emma Stone was sad. Because this movie's an hour and a half long. At the hour mark, like exact, is when like the low moment hits for this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're just following just like this formula that every movie does.
Movies
It's really
tend to have a
boring.
structure, just like music tends to have a structure.
I know, and they definitely
goes
weren't
up,
doing
it goes
anything off the
down, there's
books
the
with this
character.
movie.
No, it wasn't.
So the director was the guy who made Friends with Benefits.
Yeah. Another another weird like very movie of its genre, but probably has. Now I'm like, what else was going on in that movie that I didn't realize?
Exactly, and Peter Rabbit.
Yeah.
I looked at him the other day and I was like, yeah, okay. I was really hoping he was gonna have all those shitty comedy.
It'd be crazy
movies
if he
too.
was just the
Like,
guy behind. Then he got so sick, and then he started writing this like ninth one, and he
Yes.
said, "Fuck it, let's go off the rails." Like that. I would actually be entertained if that was what happened,
What
right?
was
If he
his
wrote
name?
7 more.
Judd Apatow. Or
Judd
whatever.
Apatow
Like
was
he's
the guy.
really well known for all of those types of movies.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
thought it was gonna be one of those guys like him, but it wasn't. It was just
Yeah.
a guy named Will Gluck.
Judd Apatow is responsible for a lot.
Wait,
of
what's his name?
Will
Gluck?
Gluck.
Gluck?
Gluck.
Huh, Gluck.
Yeah.
Will Gluck
You kind of feel dirty saying it, don't you?
Yeah.
Deserves to have only had 2 movies that everyone knows of.
Can we censor that name? And can you get that in editing? Like
You just
let-
hear beep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well.
Okay, I'm ready to
Anyway.
move on. That's my
All right,
choice.
so let's move on to the next segment.
Ooh.
Fat, thin, perfectly fit. This part of the movie
Nice
segment, we sit there and we discuss if we think the movie runtime matches and everything was all smooth sailing, then it's a fit movie. If the movie runtime felt way longer than it needed to be, then it's probably a fat movie. Thin movie, you kind of wanted more from me. You said, well, maybe I wish that kind of gone a little bit more. Maybe they should throw in some extra elements in. Nathan, lead the way.
I mean, it's only an hour and a half long. Is there a few scenes here or there that should be cut from it? I'm sure there is. It likes to just kind of hammer around on the same concept for more than it needed to. But I mean, if I were to cut it down, I wouldn't be cutting it down that much. That's not saying one way or the other how much I enjoyed the movie. More just the fact of like the story didn't really overstay its welcome by being overly long. So I'd say mostly fit.
I'm going with fit as well. But every time I say fit, I have to clarify it with that does not give any points for the movie. Usually, like fat, I'm counting off points regardless. But fit is still, it's an hour and a half long. But I agree with every point that Nathan made. There's nothing I can think of off the top of my head I personally want to cut. Unless we're like really getting in and like I'm taking out the gay character and putting somebody actually believable in there. But I feel like that's just kind of big changes that you would make rather than just time-wise. So fit.
I'm gonna beat this whole movie, dude. This movie's fat. Like at an hour and a half, if you said typical teen like comedy hour and a half, that probably checks out. But this teen drama stops at about 50 minutes in, and then it's that weird dark adult drama, and I'm just it feels like 2 different movies. It felt like that by the time they get to that part, a second movie had been going on, and they cut it in for like 20 minutes. And
The
just
chlamydia portion?
yeah, like all of the chlamydia portion, the like terrible school counselor part, and like all of the repercussion stuff. Like that part kind of makes sense. Like that's kind of like the closure to the whole thing. You can keep that, but I don't know. I just don't think you push that envelope any further. I think that you already honestly, I think you probably cut it because it just seems it tonally sticks out to me. Like for me, it just feels like it dips way too far into a different tone of the
But
movie.
don't you think if this wasn't in it, that you would not think a thing of this movie and would not ever
it wouldn't be
we
another
wouldn't be talking about
point.
it.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is this film is in the wrong genre and it's doing too many by the books things to be going for that argument anyway. Like, even as somebody who enjoys teen comedies and that sphere of things, it's not particularly even like great at that. Like, you cast Emma Stone, which is all right, good for you, and Stanley Tucci is entertaining, but none of that stuff says that it's excelling even in the category that it's supposed to be trying to be in. And then it tries to be a drama for a little bit to, I guess, like, be different amongst the herd. But I think that that's the weakest part for me. So that's just where I'd say I'd cut, just because I think that I think this was supposed to be something to boost its, like, sticking power in this, but I think it hurt more long term for me. So
Who is Stanley Tucci?
He's the dad.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just kept thinking of the Office guy, and I was like, I don't think he was in this movie. If he was, I just
You talking
totally
about
missed it.
Stanley from The
yeah.
Office?
Right.
They
It's a
look
very
vastly
different
different.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm gonna piggyback off of Nathan and Dylan. I think that it's a fit movie, but if I did
He said
cut
fat.
anything,
don't worry about it.
Okay.
well, no, but also Lisa Kudrow's
Get there.
character was pointless at the end of this, unless you just wanted that whole chlamydia thing to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Don't you want the chlamydia thing to happen?
Well, you were passing it out like crazy earlier.
It's true. You were way.
I was just anybody wants chlamydia.
Come on.
Yeah, come on down to the
Come
effing
and
movie
get it.
podcast.
But
Nathan,
then
you can edit
Nathan
that
raised
out,
a good
right?
point.
Oh, yeah.
Where, like, if you don't have the whole chlamydia thing and you don't have that extra little gossipy thing, then what is this movie? You know, it's very light at that point. So I don't know.
So you gotta throw in chlamydia on there, huh?
You gotta put chlamydia in there, I guess.
Disagree.
Good job, Will. Good luck. You,
Good job, the Gluck
you
master.
little rascal, you.
Please bleep this in the future.
Just the Gluck portion. Of
Uh-huh.
You know what? I did want to mention the music in this movie, though. You want to talk about something that dates a movie? This movie, I liked it. I
Uh-huh.
liked all of the music. It had some, like, at the party scene, there were some rap songs. I can't remember what, but, like, had Pocket Full of Sunshine. Natasha Bedingfield was
Mhm.
not big at that time, but
I mean,
darn it,
But this,
was it catchy?
I'm not really like familiar with this like kind of genre of music. So like, I mean, it doesn't really date the movie for me personally.
Mhm.
The only reason Pocket Full of Sunshine kind of does is because this movie is what made that song really popular for this time.
Yeah,
That's just for me.
I enjoyed the music. That was one of the things that made me smile most of the time.
That last one was really the last song they played though was that really cliche song.
Oh, it was.
Oh, it
Don't
was
You
from
Forget
the
About
yeah.
Me.
Don't you forget about
Yeah.
me? Yeah, it's because
Yeah.
it's a
The
play on
Breakfast
say
Club.
anything, right?
Yeah.
Or Say Anything,
Yeah,
yeah.
But it's
they
just
were-
like you all said earlier though, like this it's like the movie takes itself like it plays itself as a joke and then like it tries doing it serious at the same time. Which
Right. When
I
it
never
wants to
bought into.
exaggerate, it's suddenly a comedy, and then when it's not, they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're a drama." Right.
It's definitely a very referential movie
Mm-hmm.
because it calls into so many things, and also, I mean, the biggest one being the Scarlet Letter.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm. We also didn't talk about the end at all, where like she comes in that really revealing outfit
During the school assembly.
during the school
yeah.
assembly and
During
no
school
teachers,
hours.
nobody does
Well,
anything.
Lets her do a whole
The
segment.
principal I
The
know does
principal
come in,
the
but the
tries to
end.
stop.
Yeah.
He tries to stop
But
her, and
nobody
then
else
some
does?
other people convince him not to stop her.
Right. Which totally plays, considering how conviction heavy he was.
And then like she's like advertising her OnlyFans at the end.
Right.
Yeah.
She's like,
Which-
if you want to see more, tune in at 6.
To be fair,
Ugh.
is the only thing that's modern about this movie.
It really is. That's the only thing that really holds up.
I mean
Right.
that's one thing to say too about this movie is this movie doesn't really feel like it was in the internet era,
No.
even though it's all wrappered in this thing of it being a vlog
Mhm.
and apparently a live vlog
Right.
too, which
Well,
is also pretty far ahead of the era that it feels like it's taking place in.
Mhm.
And everybody just believes her entire story right off the bat, just to
Which-
make sure like
that's the
we
thing,
got to wrap this
too.
movie up. We got to tie up all the loose ends. Just everybody believes her. Everything's good.
When it comes to like high school movies, like half of them will sit there and like if something happens, they will tell the main counterpart like it's okay, they'll forget about it by next week. But in this movie, like this was the talk of the town all year long. Like there was no forgetting it, which was just the weirdest thing.
They're all probably like, "Hey, did you know we had this really hot chick going here the whole
Right.
time?"
And how does that system work? Like if everyone knows that she's just getting paid to like spread rumors, why is anyone paying her to spread rumors about them? That was the
There were so many people in on it.
I didn't think
Yes.
about that. Like they would know. Like if Emma Stone said that she had sex with you, you probably paid her.
Right.
So it's weirder that you're doing.
Anybody
that.
could have cross-referenced that and been like, "Wait, okay, low key, dude."
so they were just giving her AutoZone gift
Well,
cards for no
the
reason.
other thing too is like for the entirety of this movie up until the Home Depot dude,
Mm-hmm.
they all knew that they were paying for fake stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
why
that's
is any
a
street
lot
cred
of
being
people
passed
that
around?
were in on what was happening and just keeping it a secret.
Which is hard to do, evidently. in
But
high
it wasn't a
school.
secret because they also, at the same time, were spreading it around to one another.
Yeah, it's very strange. I try not to think into that very much.
This
It's
movie
just
doesn't
like-
want you to pay attention to it or look deeply
It
into
wants
it.
you to do laundry and to do dishes like
it
that.
wants to
do
be.
it.
This is a movie that's thriving to be a background movie because they're like, please don't pay attention. to
I
us.
will say though, there was one part that got a genuine laugh out of me, and I don't regret it at all. Was when like she walks outside and there's the Quiznos guy, and there's like,
Mhm.
there's even the Quiznos mascot here. And then like the Quiznos guy comes in, and she's like, nobody wants your honey roasted chicken, get out of here.
No.
And then like he walks away, he's like, you're a slut.
Yeah.
She was so witty.
Now
Yeah.
that really got me.
Emma Stone's good. I'm telling you, her dialogue was very, very good most of the time.
Yeah, because they made her the Mary
Yeah.
Elizabeth Winstead of the movie, where like she's smarter than everybody.
Ooh, can we recast
She's-
this movie as
She's
Mary Elizabeth
quippier than
Winstead?
everybody.
That'd be fun.
It just got on my nerves, and every time she interacted with Pretty Boy, they just had this amazing back and forth where like they were just.
That's
Well-
called chemistry, Price. You should try it sometime.
I don't know. I'll have to try finding it sometime.
Ah, well. Anyway, guys, we've got like 2 more segments we got to do, so let's go ahead and move on. So
To the
apparently-
question,
God, fine. I
you
actually
have to have one for this
fine.
one.
I actually have a question. I thought about
Like,
it.
do you think this is culturally appropriate? Like, there's an easy one.
No. So mine is that this movie is very culturally dated with a couple of things, obviously, with
Mhm.
like just a handful of situations that happen in the movie. Stanley Tucci at one point has 2 movies that are clearly the Netflix envelope mailing things. And I remember thinking,
Yeah, he does. Like, what movie we going to
Right.
watch tonight?
And I was just like,
Ah.
are those the male Netflix ones? I was just like, noted. So, my question is, we move this movie up 10 years. Let's say we move it into let's move it to 2 or 3 12 years or 13.
You're dating
years.
this movie or dating this podcast.
All right, so let's say we move it up
you
to
move
like
it, you're moving it into the future here.
yeah, we're moving up into the future.
Okay.
Or can we use robots?
No, so
Fair.
if we
Fair.
move this movie to like let's say like mid 2020, like 20s, like 2023, 2024. Let's say something relevant in that part.
Okay.
What do you do to modernize this? Like, what do you change? What do you take, or who do you cast to sit there and make this a little bit more modern?
Oh my word! There is a million things you'd have to do for this.
Well, keep it short because this is a tiny segment right before the scores.
So the plot line basically has to stay the same, though.
But the plot line has to stay the same.
I'm gonna give it to Caitlin Dever, the girl from Booksmart.
Mhm.
What?
She's gonna be the main. I don't know, dude. I'm just.
Oh, I thought it was like
Up
some
and
girl
coming.
you knew.
I don't want to get Amanda Bynes in there 45 years after she's in her prime, like
Yeah.
they did in this movie. So you got to find all these youngsters that are coming up.
Mhm.
Just get Booksmart crew in there.
So-
Everyone from Booksmart.
Even a director? What's her face is the director?
It's a girl.
It's the female actress.
Was it Olivia Wilde?
Olivia Wilde.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
there we
right.
go. There we go.
Anyways, yeah, I guess that's the main character. That's as far as I'm gonna go because I wouldn't cast half of those people they had in this movie anyway.
I actually think you keep Emma Stone somehow. And then
High
because
school.
Yeah, she's still a high schooler. Of
Yeah.
course.
She's like
She
30.
could be a teacher.
she could.
Yes.
Yeah, she could be the counselor.
She
at
could
this
be-
Point.
Ooh,
Just so
I
it
wouldn't put her as
calls back to
somebody
the.
evil.
So is this a remake, or are we just like it didn't exist in the past? It's pushed to the future.
I'm even more fun with it
That's
being
what
a
I'm
remake
liking.
if we get to have an extra little fun tone with it. If we get to like play at itself.
Keep it a remake.
Yeah. All right. So here, extra layer to it. It's a remake, and you can have fun with it as at its own expense from like the 2010 version. So like I don't know. For me, I probably keep Emma Stone as literally the main character, and still have her play the joke that like oh nobody else notices me or whatever like that. And the only other difference I would probably add is that Stanley Tucci is just looking at the Netflix menu. Instead
Oh
of
yeah.
that. Everything
Instead of
else
holding
is the same.
two things.
Right.
He's just going through it.
I like the idea of Amanda Bynes being like 30 years over her prime and very insane at that point.
I hate
so-
her. I hated her in this movie so much.
I don't know like what I would do casting wise, but I do think like for modernizing the like lying of it, you could really go in deep with stuff like deep fakes private Snapchat accounts.
Yeah.
That's
and
where I was.
OnlyFans.
That's where I was going.
Like basically, like
Yeah.
the main character could be using deepfakes to make it look like she's sending nudes to people when she's not, and stuff like that.
So changing the medium of everything.
Yeah.
I promise that's exactly what I was going to say. Was using like something like almost like an OnlyFans kind of scenario, where she's like giving out nudes or something. Because this movie, it's like very core is like about slut shaming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think like that would modernize it. And I mean, I don't really care about the casting at all, like you all do apparently. So I'm on the same page as Nathan.
I still keep Stanley Tucci. I think he's very charming. Why not bring him back?
I mean, he's great. Got a lot of charisma.
Right. Scores. Nathan.
You'd go first on everything, lucky dog.
Sorry, he's on the
know,
polar
right?
opposite of me, and this is it has to rotate down.
Okay.
Okay, so is this movie in any way really exceptional? No. It did have me laughing at several parts. It definitely had me like taken out of it quite often as well. I don't know. Like, did it do anything actually surprising though? No. Like, as much as you were saying, like, the reason you wanted to watch this was for like looking at what was actually going on in this movie that we might not have been paying attention to, say, whenever it was originally watched, which for
I
the two
suppose
of us,
it's just me
is
and
not the
Mason's
case.
argument, right?
I feel like you see all this stuff coming from miles away. Like that turn, that has to happen. Like I know you argue that it doesn't, but I feel like that's the story. Like if it's about
The school
it's
counselor
about
turn?
somebody lying,
But it's when
then
it gets
eventually
real.
it needs to be
Yeah.
about when it gets real.
Mhm.
So that was just bound to happen, and I don't know. This movie doesn't surprise me at any point. Makes me chuckle a little bit. I'll give it a 6. Is where I'll land with it. I didn't not enjoy myself. So
Yeah.
That's
I
about.
want that to be like the literal line on the movie. I did not enjoy myself. That's the
That's the
reviews.
quotations.
Right.
Did
on the
not,
middle
not
song.
enjoy myself.
Right.
Like as
Perfect.
critical as we are about it, like it was still a fine movie to me.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it was not. I
There it
did
is.
not enjoy my time with it. The few times that the movie got a guilty chuckle out of me, like again, it was guilty, and I felt like I shouldn't be laughing at this. And the whole plot line, I think, is really stupid. I didn't really believe it from the get go that this whole scenario could even happen. It's just like the brick and stuff like that. Like I don't believe any of the
Brace
characters.
yourself.
I know,
But
you compared it to Brick.
But Brick is taking more of a like farcical kind of look at it, or satirical rather.
I'm glad you finally said that
I
out
know,
loud.
he finally
Yeah.
gets the concept of Brick.
Like,
Yeah,
you
but-
were telling us straight up that that was
Brick's
supposed to be a
score is
real
somehow
movie.
going up with Easy A's review.
But it does. Like it still takes itself seriously. So like I'm so confused. Like I don't
Changed
know.
Brick to a 4 in this.
Oh,
to a
it's-
2.
it's-
No, it's staying at a 1 for
That's
me.
the
If that's what I
third
gave
price
Brick.
10 that we've gotten.
And then I didn't think this movie was shot well with those stuff I said earlier. I didn't enjoy the characters. Every one of them was as one-dimensional as
Whoa.
you could possibly get.
Quizno's character.
Actual employee.
Yeah.
That's-
Quiznos does not give a shit. They wouldn't do that.
Oh no, not at all. But again, the main thing I go into movies for are the characters and the story, and both of these let me down in spades. But it's not a long movie, and that's usually what it takes for me to really tank a score. So I'm gonna go with a 3 because I mean that laugh really did stick with me. It's not a long movie. It was easy enough to get on Netflix and watch it. I didn't have to put much effort into
Exactly. If you had to rent this movie, you would have been so fucking mad.
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Like you would have been so furious that you had to rent a comedy.
I gave this money. Gluck, you bastard.
But
Yeah.
I was practically just drooling on myself with the remote trying to find it. So 3.
Yeah. I've said it a million times already. It falls into that same category of all of those other movies. I would rather watch something with a little bit more depth, a little bit more topical things that they get right versus, all of these little ideas that they keep throwing in. Not Lisa Kudrow sleeping with a student, not a gay guy who's, I don't want to say obviously gay to everyone,
It
but
could have been shot at your high school. That would have fell in line.
That's true.
oh, I was like, mine? Yeah.
No, I was saying his.
Yeah.
No, we don't have those at our high school.
At the end of the day, though,
Oh,
it
was
is
it middle
true. Netflix comedy
Middle school, I would've
falls
been
into the rest.
Seattle,
I'll give it a
so it doesn't
6.5. I don't. Sony Bio,
Sony
it's
Bio
all
somehow
about-
ends up to
I
0.5.
can't forget that was one of the main movies that came out. They're just all up in your face.
Don't you still have that?
I did for like 10 years.
I
Yeah,
thought
I was
you
about
had
to
it
say,
for a
I couldn't remember if that's the
while.
one you're still using right now.
Yeah, the one he shot those virtual videos on,
Right,
where it's
right.
like the camera's underneath him and like you just see his chin.
Yep,
Mason knows his angles. What can I say?
that's true. You gotta work with what I got.
Work with them angles, son.
Yeah. I don't think this has ever been the angle to go. Anyway, so
Oh, definitely. Take a selfie. Do it like from right here. Make sure to really get that neck. The neck
that's like
flub.
the his angle, her angle like joke, right? Like,
My favorite was with Ethan Klein, you know, where he's like doing that. Just
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. Love that picture.
Man, this movie has to be a 6. So
It doesn't have to be.
it has to be for me.
Oh, okay.
So I don't think it goes too much further than that because it's a movie that's like kind of charming and endearing at first if that's like the genres that you like and call me a sucker. That is one of the genres I like. I like little teen comedies and teen dramas and stuff like that. But just when you start paying attention more to this movie, it just really starts going off the rails and I'll admit now that like the unrealistic high school trope definitely annoys me much more than it did back in 2010. You know, back in 2010 it was like all the movies are unrealistic high school, but now we've gotten like tried and true, good, genuine, like, you know, like teen stories. Like 8th Grade comes to mind right away.
Mhm.
It's one of these like very genuine films. Or
I think Booksmart is a lot more
I think
realistic
is
than
is a
this.
lot more
Me
realistic.
and Earl and the Dying Girl, while it wasn't anything about high school, like that had a more realistic tone
Right.
than like
Stop.
this.
No, I totally.
I want to go back to my score now.
Yeah, I'll agree that there are movies in this genre that do so much work while even working against the handicaps of having a realistic high school. And this one, with all of the tools that it's
Top 20.
See, that's one of my
Is that Tom
favorite
Hanks?
movies.
No, it's
No.
Ed.
I keep telling you about it, but you're like, yeah, no, I'm not
Who
gonna
is
watch
this?
I never said that.
Ewan
I would
McGregor.
watch it.
It's
I've never said that.
incredible. It's
I would
long.
watch
I
it.
know,
Fish is
it's so
I haven't
good,
seen
though.
it.
It's
really
Ewan
good.
McGregor.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll
Ooh,
like
I like him.
Yeah, he was Obi-Wan in those movies you don't like.
Oh, Jurassic Park.
That's the one.
it. Bingo.
Mhm.
Rocket Man. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. Wait, no. Hold on, for visual editing's sake, Nathan, this is
Clap in.
Almost done here.
Everybody clap.
We don't do that. No, we don't do that. We don't need to.
I'll just leave all this in.
So,
It's like, I'll
and,
do it.
And Nathan well. So I'm not sure how
You're
much of
finishing
that
up your
talent.
score.
Anyway, 6 because it had all of these extra tools to be able to get away with more, and it somehow delivered less for it.
Good.
I literally had those 5 last words to say. That was it on the thing.
All right, we still have one more thing though.
No,
since
I
it's the
know.
last movie.
I know.
Then
Price.
do it.
I literally just got done with that sentence. Oh my god. So anyway, because Price can't wait 5 seconds to tell you that this is the end of the season, guys. We're at the end of season 3.
3.
3. I always have to double check on that one. Man, 3 seasons. That's wild. So we're at the end of season 3. You know what that means. We've got a season wrap up coming soon. Soon? How soon? I don't know. You probably won't even notice.
We also
We
have
just
to do
drop
with
it.
the end of the month.
Also, we have our end of the month special. But even more than that, we have a special thing to tease after we get through this part, though. So
Okay.
let's do the month wrap up, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some of our season wrap up content.
Okay. What movies do we had to talk about, boys?
Alien.
Alien. Yeah,
Wow.
That was mine.
I know, this is gonna be
that was a hot minute.
Alien.
Was mine Dear
ETA,
Zachary?
Dear Zachary.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh
And
yeah, because it's the only thing we've
Wolfwalkers.
done at this studio.
Yeah.
And
You're right.
Wolfwalkers. Oh boy, this
This is gonna be a
is gonna be fucking sweet.
Yeah,
sweet. All right,
I'm so
Mason,
sorry.
you go ahead and start because yours is the only one.
Yeah,
that's-
it's gonna be different.
Yeah.
As much as you just heard me love Easy A, I think I'm gonna have to go with like.
Oh my god.
I'm
How?
probably gonna go
How is
with
it
Dear
any of these other
Zachary, only because it was something different.
He's fucking lying to you. This is Goodwill
I
Hunting
like it.
over.
So here's the problem. There's an
Uh,
asterisk because any documentary is going to be a good documentary, right? And like any documentary,
Can we
name
get that a little bit higher?
name 3 bad documentaries. And
So-
is it because you weren't interested in them in the first place?
I used to binge documentaries
That's
in
your
the
problem,
early days
dude.
of Netflix.
That's
And there's
on you.
one that
I'm
I
more
watched
educated
that was
on it
about
than he does,
kids
yeah.
that worked at a pay-to-park parking lot. That one is
That
a
sounds
nothing
really
documentary.
interesting. Really?
It's riveting. Actually.
That sounds like that'd be interesting, but it's just not.
No,
done
it
well.
was one of those things where it's just like, why was this made?
That sounds like it could be
Like,
interesting though.
It was.
Like, I'm
it wasn't
interested.
like the least interesting one that I had seen, but it just always sticks out to me as something where it's just like, this was the thing that least needed a documentary.
That's fair.
Like
Yeah.
it's just a bunch of skateboarding kids hanging out at a pay-to-park parking lot
Oh.
while one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not as interesting. I thought there was like child exploitation.
Mid-90s.
No,
or
no, 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 no.
something.
No, it's literally just these people. They work here. Here's a snippet of their
What does
life.
it
That
mean by
sounds
these
so
people?
boring.
It's 2021, Dylan.
If it was in 2010 and Easy A, you could have made that joke
That's fair.
about big. Yeah, never mind. Not
All
gonna
right,
do it.
all right.
Go ahead,
So
Dylan.
it's on me. All right, here we can all do this at the same time on 3.
All
If
right.
we're all agree in this one.
Yeah,
Are we all gonna be? It has to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe you're not.
No, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Wolfwalkers.
Come on.
Of course
It was a fun breath of fresh air versus some of the other.
It really was,
That's
and
all it was.
we can all kind of speak our piece on it. But
Yeah.
I'll finish my thing really quickly and just saying like, I looked at the field, and I said, "Fuck it." I had Aliens and Dear Zachary to contend with, and I was like, I don't want it this month. Like, and to be fair, Wolfwalkers would have totally earned it even in like if I brought like a good movie to the plate. Like Wolfwalkers was definitely fun and like a nice breath of fresh air as far as like animation and playing. It was like it punched above its pay grade in an animation, so I appreciate it.
I would have, as always.
Auto
like-
defaulted.
I mean,
to
I would have
animated
picked
movies.
Dear Zachary for myself as well, just because like I really do think that Dear Zachary is more memorable because I do remember there being a lot of flaws that I saw in Wolfwalkers, even though the animation is beautiful. And again, I'll be the first one to acknowledge that, but there's still flaws in that movie. But as compared to Alien and Easy A, it's not even close. I hated Easy A. I really didn't like Alien, so Wolfwalkers got it for me. I mean, I watched that on my own time before Mason
Yeah.
picked it, so
Mason
I
knew.
did enjoy it.
If he sees new animated,
Yeah,
he's like, I gotta watch this
I
ahead of
texted him
prep.
that like I watched it. I think
Yeah.
he was like, "You son of a bitch."
Yeah. I figured you would have liked it, but
I did like it. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say Wolfwalkers was an easy pick
Yeah.
in this crowd.
Yeah.
Like, Dear Zachary is an important documentary, but I don't know. Like, it's not really. Like, do I want to watch that over watching an animated kids movie?
Fun,
Basically,
yeah.
A fun movie.
literally
Like,
anything uplifting.
no.
Yeah.
I definitely will just watch an animated movie over watching Dear Zachary again. Doesn't matter
I'll
which
never
one
watch
is.
it again. I didn't watch it again. Like I watched it a while ago, and I couldn't watch it again
Yeah.
when I picked it on the air. Like I cannot do that.
Yeah, like I think that's Price's game, right? Like, so next time we go over, he's gonna be like, "Hey, you guys want to put on something?" And he drops Megamind and Dear Zachary out, and then he looks
And
at
you
me,
have to.
and he's like, "These are all I got." It's like, fine, I'll pick Megamind. That's not
That barely scraped by for our next discussion.
It
that we're
fucking
at.
shouldn't have.
It should have.
No, it shouldn't. But let's go ahead and talk about the
Oh.
end of the season content we have coming up, guys.
Go for it.
So we've got a bracket because we're sellouts and we love brackets. And I don't know.
And it's
And
March
maybe this will
almost.
come
It's
out
almost-
in March.
And maybe this
We'll
comes
see.
out in
Yeah.
Wait, what month is it now?
It's
No.
in the gym.
No way.
Oh,
does it
There's no way this comes
out.
out. All right, so we're teasing March Madness, even though by the time this airs, this could be very well April. So whatever. So
We'll see.
whenever we filmed this, it was a good idea at the time. to
Well,
branch out
I mean,
with it.
honestly, next week the whole economy could collapse, so we might not be making anything.
It'll be Mad Max situation.
Yeah.
It will be in like Nathan's like dojo
Yeah.
having to do it.
To be fair, then we'll just be filming the movie that you want to make, which is your Life of Mad Max.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a documentary
Right.
about Nathan.
And B, if the American dollar has any value, we'll just put it up on my new streaming videos. This is the place on that one. We'll call it even on.
I'll
that
be
one.
dead.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be dead.
Yeah. But so the idea is we have a 64 seed bracket. We have all the movies from previous seasons up. We even have ones that we actually hadn't reviewed, if I remember correctly, right? So that was ones
Yeah.
that wasn't actually recorded from this time.
Yeah.
Your
So-
name is probably chief among them. You
Yeah.
will be hearing about that. So
Oh yeah, you got your name. You've got a handful of other like sneak ones. So if you're wondering, like, I don't remember ever having seen a video about this because we didn't make one for that one. But we wanted to put them in because they were well-earned ones, and if they felt like that, if we'd ever covered it on video or off video, then we wanted it in there. And perks, if we're gonna ever do recap ones, and any of these ones make a lot of headway, then hey, maybe let's do a recap video on that one and go back and circle back on those ones. Maybe we have like a retro month.
Yeah,
Where we go
we've
back and
discussed
pick.
doing that a few times.
Yeah.
I think it would be worth it.
I do too, but I want to see which ones have the most like credence to go
Staying
back
power.
for. Exactly. So we wanted
Maybe
to do
Creed?
that. Fuck me up with Creed. I'll put Creed 2 in there. Yeah. Definitely not Megamind though. But
Oh, we didn't record that, did we?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, it's not making the top 16 or whatever, so it's whatever.
not with this crew. But
Yeah,
anyway,
so like we did have, I think, 104 movies to pick from. Was it something like that?
Something similar.
So
Give or
we
take,
we
100.
called 40 of them to get down to 64, which we voted on them pretty unanimously, except a couple of like last ditch ones, which I'm sure we'll be discussing whenever the bracket actually comes up. Like Megamind is definitely one of them. But we,
into the grave.
but they were so like the bottom 40 were very easy. Namely, I would think from season 2 was the ones we cut the most from because we picked really bad movies.
Yeah.
And that's what we did on
was
the themes.
Yeah, that was a bad time.
Yes, it was, and we picked like, and it's just a lot of like really bad movies. A lot of them, chiefly, I picked like Excalibur. Okay,
Yep.
You didn't pick.
Excalibur made it on there. Never mind.
Yeah.
but like Birdemic and Thanksgiving, like when we were going through the list,
Okay.
there was a couple that we were like I was naming them off, and I was like, I'm not even saying Birdemic, it's off. I'm not even saying Thanksgiving, it's off.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we knew that there were movie weaknesses on there on that one, so a lot of the ones that, well, maybe fun and controversial to talk about are not worth it competing against any other movie. Those probably didn't.
Because
make
this
the
is
list.
going to be like the best that we
Yeah.
can collectively almost agree on is like the best movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and maybe we'll even post a link to this bracket for other people to fill out
Let's do it.
what they think's going to happen.
Oh, I want to relink it because there's so many movie people on mine. I'm just like, who would take this that
Yeah,
are
who wins?
not watching our podcast? So
Yeah.
I just wanted to see like out of this list who ends up winning, like logistically. And I'm curious to see like what the retweets on that comes in on that.
Yeah.
I mean, comment on this video. Who
Mhm.
you think's going to win?
Who or what movie?
Well, what movie?
One.
Yeah, I mean,
well, they
it's-
wouldn't be able to comment on
it's-
this one. They don't have
it's-
the bracket.
yeah.
already,
Well,
so.
I mean, we could link the bracket.
Yeah.
In
Oh, I
the
suppose
end
we could
of
do
this
that.
video.
All right, so if you look below in our description, there'll be a link to the bracket. Go check it out and hit us in the comments below who do you think would win on the movie bracket for that one, or if you have a personal movie favorite on that one that you're just like, I don't think this would win, but I really enjoyed this movie. Let us know in the comments below. I think that'd be a great start to it. But if am I missing anything else for any in-season wrap-up content? Because that's
I
already
think
my
that's
idea.
Well, we're doing the end of season stuff as well, like you know,
Right, our typical in-season
favorite
awards
songs,
and stuff like that.
that.
Right,
Mhm.
all that stuff. But we're having a little pre-game with the bracket stuff because we want to get a little.
It'll be
spoilery.
2 different videos because, as you've probably seen from our previous wrap-up videos,
We get
Yeah.
a little lengthy in those
Yeah.
ones.
yeah, they're a little bit.
They're hour long minimum,
Yeah.
and this
Mhm.
bracket will probably end up actually splitting into more than one video if I were to guess.
I think we can sum it up pretty quick.
Possibly.
It depends.
There's gonna be a lot of arguing.
It depends on where we start. If we stop at like,
Well,
if we start in top 16
Here's the thing to keep in mind: there are 4 of us.
Yeah.
That's where the dice comes in.
uh-huh.
The dice, no. I think we need to have people come in as
Oh,
guest
tiebreaker.
tiebreakers.
That's fine.
That's my vote anyway.
Well,
but
where
we'll
we-
see how this all.
Where are we
breaks
gonna
down.
find guest tiebreakers? Go.
Uh-oh.
If you hit the bell, ding, then
Uh-huh.
make sure you'll get plenty of notifications to find out who may be our guest tiebreakers in for that next week's content. Well, next week is very subjective, but whatever, you won't even notice. Anyway, guys, that's what we got coming up for the future. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you like the content we keep putting out every single week, and sometimes many a week. Just depends on Nathan's mood. And hit us in the comments below with all the good stuff that you love or hate about this podcast. Otherwise, you'll see us next week with more effing movies. Woo!
So exciting.
Okay, bye.
That's it.
Mason just looked so dejected the whole time. Like I looked over at you occasionally, and you like your head was down like this.
I had to talk about Easy A for an hour.
You were just like fiddling with your.